Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our economic data release call. We have just released December's numbers for 2021. Those went out at 10 o'clock. You all should have gotten the press release. A few housekeeping rules before we get started. Please make sure your microphones remain muted and your cameras are off. We're going to take questions from credentialed media. Feel free to type those into the Teams chat as the presentation progresses, and we'll get to those at the end of the presentation. If you have any additional questions or we don't get to your question today, please email media@deo.myflorida.com. I'm going to turn it over to Adrienne Johnston, DEO's Chief Economist.
All right, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. At 10 a.m. this morning, DEO released the December 2021 labor statistics for the state of Florida and sub-state areas. This includes metro areas, counties, and large cities. These data were produced by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics through a federal-state cooperative agreement with DEO. Data were collected through a combination of employer and household surveys, administrative records, and statistical modeling techniques. This morning, I will provide details for this December 2021 data release. As a reminder, the current population survey is used to estimate Florida's unemployment rate, total labor force, and labor force participation rate under the local area unemployment statistics program. Since these statistics are based on a survey of households, they capture information about individuals, not jobs, and they are calculated by place of residence, not place of work. So let's look at the unemployment statistics. Florida's seasonally adjusted unemployment rate in December 2021 was 4.0%. This was a decrease of 0.1 percentage point from the November 2021 rate and a decrease of 0.7 percentage point from December of last year. In December 2021, Putnam County had the highest unemployment rate at 5.2%, followed by Hamilton County at 5.1%, and Citrus, Highlands, and Sumter County at 4.7%. Miami-Dade County had the state's unemployment rate at 1.4%, followed by Monroe County at 2.1% and St. Johns County at 2.5%. The national unemployment rate in December was 3.9%. This unemployment rate for December 2021 represents 466,000 jobless individuals out of a labor force of 10,666,000. Florida's December 2021 labor force increased by 29,000 or 0.3% from a month prior. Compared to December 2020 levels, this was an increase of 616,000 or 6.1%. For context, when the labor force increases, it is often a sign that people are optimistic about employment opportunities and are choosing to enter the job market. Employment grew by 44,000, while unemployment dropped by 15,000 individuals in December. The U.S. labor force grew by 0.1% over the month and 0.9% over the year. We are continuing to track the trends related to Florida's growing labor force, which is a combination of all currently employed individuals as well as unemployed job seekers who are actively looking for work. As of December of 2021, there are now 199,000 more Floridians in the labor force than the pre-pandemic level from February of 2020. Labor force growth accelerated in December as Florida continues to outpace the nation. Over the past year, Florida's labor force has grown by 6.1% compared to 1% nationally. The comparison of Florida's workforce has shifted in the past 2 years as well. Floridians under the age of 25 are much more likely to be employed than they were before the pandemic, while the labor force participation among those aged over 55 has declined. Retirees have also increased as a share of the population. Among Florida residents who are not in the labor force, increasing numbers are reporting home responsibilities as the reason that they are not seeking work. The number of job leavers shown here in gray has increased for 9 consecutive months. This indicates that individuals are more optimistic about their ability to find work if they leave their current job. Re-entrants and new entrants to the labor force have also increased, suggesting that individuals who were not previously looking for work are now more confident that jobs are available. This pattern is also a result of the continued decline in total unemployment. As the economy recovers and the pool of people experiencing persistent unemployment shrinks, voluntary transitions will naturally tend to grow as a share of unemployment. Shifting over to our payroll employment numbers, Just a reminder, job creation data for Florida is derived from the Current Employment Statistics Program, or the CES survey, and is conducted by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. The CES survey collects data from over 40,000 Florida businesses and establishments each month to measure jobs by industry across the state. Since these statistics are based on a survey of employers, they measure counts of jobs, not individuals, and they capture characteristics of employers such as industry and place of work. The total non-agricultural employment rose to 8.97 million jobs in December of 2021. This was up 11,700 jobs, or 0.1%, from November 2021. This figure is up 479,300 jobs from a year ago, which is an over-the-year increase of 5.6%. Florida's private sector non-agricultural employment was 7,869,900 jobs in December 2021. This was up 11,900 jobs, or 0.2%, from November 2021. Total private employment was up 661,200 jobs from December 2020. This was an over-the-year increase of 6.2%. Here you can see that 6 of the 10 major industries in Florida have gained jobs over the month. All of the 10 major industries have gained jobs from a year ago. Leisure and hospitality gained 8,400 jobs over the month, or 0.7%, followed by trade, transportation, and utilities, which added 7,200 jobs, or 0.4%, and other services, which added 4,300 jobs, or 1.2%. 4 industries lost jobs over the month. These were professional and business services, construction, information, and government. The biggest losses are in industries that posted unusually large gains in November, and so this suggests to us that this was just a correction to normal seasonal patterns. As you all know, between February and April of 2020, Florida lost more than 1.2 million jobs statewide. As of December 2021, Florida has recovered over 1.1 million of those jobs, or 92.1%. The trade, transportation, and utilities industry lost 213,400 jobs from February to April 2020 and has regained 229,600 jobs as of December 2021. Financial activities has added 50,100 jobs since April 2020. For the second straight month, employment in this industry has hit a record high. The number of jobs in professional and business services industry is now 2.7% higher than it was at the peak, prior to the peak employment in February 2020. Employers in the leisure and hospitality industry have recovered more employment than any other major sector at 435,800 jobs. This industry is still below its peak employment levels. Here's the December 2021 seasonally adjusted local area data. This shows that 19 of the 24 metro areas in Florida have had over the month gains. The Panama City metro area grew the fastest with a rate of 1.1%. The metro areas that added the most jobs in December were Tampa, St. Petersburg, Clearwater with 3,800 jobs, Miami, Miami Beach, Kendall Metro Division with 3,100 jobs, and West Palm Beach, Boca Raton, Delray Beach with 2,400 jobs. The Jacksonville MSA incurred a loss of 1,200 jobs in December. Looking outside of the metro areas, we can say that rural counties in Florida have historically had higher unemployment and much lower labor force participation than urban areas. However, during the pandemic, unemployment in urban areas surged far higher than in rural areas. But in recent months, rural and urban rates have reverted back to their historical relationship. We are currently working to develop a more detailed picture of employment in rural Florida. As a reminder, the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics provides state job turnover data on a 1-month lag. Here you can see BLS estimates that were up for job openings in Florida in November 2021. Over the year, they added 241,000 jobs. This is consistent with the nearly 510,000 online jobs that Florida employers posted in the same month. Jobs in the sales and service sectors and healthcare practitioners were among the most commonly advertised occupations over the month. Hires, which is shown here in green, include all additions to payroll during the estimation period. Hires are continuing to rise to meet the elevated level of openings. BLS estimated 472,000 hires statewide in November 2021. This was up 124,000 or 36% from a year ago. Quits, which is shown here in red, are typically interpreted by economists as a sign of job seekers' confidence in their ability to find work. Over recent months, this has tracked very closely with the increases in openings. For November 2021, BLS estimated that there were 301,000 quits statewide, which was up 71,000 or 31% from a year ago. And finally, last month, the U.S. Census Bureau released population estimates for 2021. With this data, we see that Florida maintained its position as the third largest state in the nation and posted the second highest increase in population and eighth fastest growth rate across the country. This chart shows net migration for the 10 most populous states. Here you can see Florida had the largest population gains from migration of any state, gaining more than 220,000 individuals through domestic migration alone. We don't yet have data on exactly where people have come from to Florida or exactly what metro areas they've moved to, but we will continue to keep an eye on that, and as soon as that data is available, we will present that here. What we do know is that historically our largest net gains have come from states in the Northeast and the Midwest, so we'll see if that trend has continued throughout the pandemic. We also know that younger generations tend to move to urban areas while older generations tend to move to more rural areas, and again, we'll see if that trend has continued. It is important to note that a growing population is one of the most important factors for a thriving economy. More people means more business, more jobs, more innovation, and a more dynamic economy. And with that concludes my remarks for this morning. Thank you for joining the rate release presentation for December 2021. And I will turn it over to Emily for questions.
Thank you, Adrienne. If you have questions, please type them in the chat feature and we will get to them as we can. If you have a question specific to a major metro area, please email media@deo.myflorida.com. We'll be answering questions on the statewide data. So Jim Turner asks, why does it appear the COVID recapture rate has slowed? I have it at 91.2% in November and 86.6% in October.
So I think what I would consider here is that we are seeing steady growth, and that's the most important. So we saw fast gains early on, and now we're going to continue to see steady increases in employment. So this is more like the trend was prior to the pandemic, and to me, that's a healthy sign of a growing economy.
Jim also asked about the Miami-Kendall Metro Division seeing an unemployment at 1.4%.
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually asked the team this morning just to double check that because that is a pretty low unemployment rate. But that is accurate. And the team reminded me that prior to the pandemic, back in January and February of 2020, we actually saw a 1.6, I believe it's 1.6 unemployment rate for the Miami metro area. So it's not unprecedented. We're kind of getting back to that level that we saw before the pandemic.
So Dave asked from Florida Today, this being the last unemployment data for 2021, how would you summarize the year? And what do you think is ahead for 2022?
That's a great question. I appreciate that. So strong growth, strong labor force. I think you've noticed that we've really focused on labor force gains over this year. That was exactly what we were looking for to see as we come out of the pandemic. Are people engaged in the labor market? Are they getting jobs? So as the labor force was increasing, our unemployment rate continued to decline. Businesses continued to add to their payrolls with some slight shifts in where we see the most growth in our employment in terms of industry. So we're seeing a lot of growth in high wage industries. We're diversifying our economy. So all of that is a strong picture for 2021, and I think sets us up really well for a strong 2022.
Thank you. Okay, thank you all for joining us today. If you have any additional questions, please reach out to media@deo.myflorida.com. Next month, we will actually not have a data release. However, we will have 2 releases in March. So you need to save the dates for March the 14th for the January 2022 release and the annual revisions for 2021. Also, March the 25th will be when we release February 2022 economic data. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at media@deo.myflorida.com. We'll get back to you as quick as we can. Have a great weekend.